Rome believed enslaved people could be controlled by chains, hunger, and fear. Then one gladiator escaped and made the Republic panic. He left no diary, no speech, and no version of his own story. Almost everything surviving was written by Rome. Those Roman writers admired his courage, but they also feared what he represented: property that could organize, fight, and win. The mystery is not simply how Spartacus escaped. It is how fewer than 80 fugitives became a war Rome struggled to end. To understand that transformation, we must begin with the machine that produced him: Roman conquest, Roman slavery, and Roman entertainment. This happened during the Roman Republic, decades before emperors and the completed Colosseum. Spartacus confronted a state already powerful across the Mediterranean, but still divided by elections, rival generals, and constant wars abroad. Every Roman victory brought land, treasure, and captives. Enslaved labor became woven into farms, mines, workshops, and wealthy homes. Roman law treated enslaved people as property. Their skills mattered, their bodies had value, but their choices belonged to someone else. Families could be separated, names replaced, and lives sold again. Fear kept the system moving even when guards were far away. Resistance never disappeared. People fled estates, damaged tools, hid supplies, or fought back whenever the risk became worth taking. Rome had already faced enormous slave uprisings in Sicily. The Senate knew that captivity could become rebellion when thousands shared one grievance. Gladiators occupied a strange place inside this world. They were degraded and controlled, yet trained carefully because spectators expected skilled combat. A gladiator might gain fame or even freedom, but every performance reminded him that another person still controlled his survival. Enslaved people were not one identical group. Some worked in brutal mines and fields, while others became cooks, tutors, clerks, craftspeople, or household servants. Their conditions differed, but none controlled their legal freedom. That diversity made rebellion difficult. People spoke different languages, lived far apart, and feared collective punishment. Rome depended not only on guards, but on isolation that prevented strangers from recognizing a shared cause. The surviving accounts call Spartacus a Thracian from lands northeast of Greece. Beyond that, even his road into slavery remains uncertain. Later stories made him soldier, deserter, bandit, and captive. The honest answer is simpler: the evidence does not let us choose. What is clear is that he reached the gladiator school of Lentulus Batiatus at Capua, locked away for future arena fights. The school functioned like a prison, barracks, gym, and business. Strong fighters were investments, fed and trained to earn money. Training gave Spartacus something Rome failed to consider. It placed disciplined fighters together, taught coordination, and gave them shared enemies. Gauls and Thracians trained beside one another despite different languages. Planning an escape required trust stronger than Rome expected them to possess. Ancient accounts say roughly 200 gladiators joined the conspiracy. Someone revealed it before the escape could begin. There was no time for a perfect plan. Fewer than 80 men moved immediately, before the gates could close around them. Plutarch also mentions a Thracian wife who shared Spartacus's escape and interpreted a serpent dream as a sign of great power. It is a vivid story, but not independent proof of prophecy or destiny. Their first weapons were not heroic swords. They seized cleavers, spits, and whatever else could be taken from the school kitchen. Outside Capua, they encountered wagons carrying gladiator equipment. Chance transformed kitchen tools into shields, helmets, and real blades. They could not remain near the city. Roads carried soldiers quickly, so the fugitives climbed toward the rough slopes of Mount Vesuvius. Vesuvius was not yet remembered for destroying Pompeii. For Spartacus, its cliffs and vegetation offered a natural fortress above the plain. The fugitives selected several leaders. Spartacus emerged beside Crassus and Eunomaus, not as a lone superhero, but within a coalition. Rome initially treated the escape as a policing problem, not a war. That mistake gave the fugitives precious time to organize. A Roman force climbed Vesuvius and blocked the known path down. The rebels appeared trapped between soldiers and a sheer cliff. The Romans guarded the road because they believed the cliff was impossible. Spartacus turned that assumption into the rebels' greatest weapon. The escape succeeded because speed mattered more than preparation. Every additional minute allowed Batiatus to lock another door, summon city guards, and separate the conspirators before they could act together. They wove the vines into ladders long enough to reach the lower slope. One by one, the fugitives vanished over the edge. Instead of fleeing, they moved around the mountain. The Roman camp still watched the empty road when the rebels appeared behind it. The surprise shattered the Roman formation. The rebels captured the camp, supplies, shields, and the credibility Rome had underestimated. They discarded much of their gladiator equipment. Arena weapons symbolized performance. Captured Roman arms could build a real field army. News traveled through farms and villages faster than Roman orders. Every victory proved that escape might be possible for someone else. Herdsmen and shepherds joined with knowledge of the countryside. Their speed and local routes gave Spartacus scouts Rome could not easily catch. The revolt was becoming more than a band of gladiators. It was a moving refuge for people escaping different forms of Roman control. Numbers in ancient histories often grow dramatically, so exact totals remain uncertain. What matters is the visible transformation. Roman officials sent to arrest fugitives soon confronted a movement drawing people from across southern Italy. Growth created immediate problems. Thousands needed food, shelter, weapons, information, and rules before Roman armies could return. Captured metal was reshaped into usable equipment. The rebellion depended as much on smiths and repair crews as on famous fighters. Former gladiators taught timing and close combat. Shepherds taught routes. Runaways brought knowledge of estates, storehouses, and Roman habits. Discipline was uneven, but the rebels learned quickly because failure meant capture. Survival gave every lesson an urgency no arena school could create. Spartacus also tried to control trade inside the camp. Ancient accounts describe iron and bronze as more useful than silver or gold. A Roman commander named Verinius pursued them with divided forces. Spartacus attacked the pieces separately before they could combine. The rebels captured camps, equipment, official symbols, and even a commander's horse. Each humiliation made Rome's earlier contempt more dangerous. Rome had expected criminals to scatter. Instead, it confronted leaders who studied terrain, selected targets, and converted victories into resources. Feeding the army required constant movement. Remaining too long could empty nearby farms and reveal the camp to Rome, while moving too quickly left slower families, carts, and wounded followers behind. By now, the revolt could no longer be dismissed. The Senate sent larger armies under Rome's elected consuls, treating Spartacus as a national threat. The rebel coalition was already dividing. Crassus and a large group separated from Spartacus, whether through strategy, rivalry, or different goals. A Roman consular force caught Crassus's group and destroyed it. The loss revealed the danger of fighting Rome in separated armies. Ancient writers describe commemorative games held for Crassus. The detail may be shaped by Roman storytelling, but the loss clearly mattered. Spartacus then moved against the remaining Roman forces. His army broke through commanders who expected to trap it between them. One Roman army after another failed to contain the uprising. The rebels seized baggage and opened a road toward northern Italy. For the first time, the Senate responded as if facing a serious foreign enemy. Fear replaced mockery inside Rome. Yet victory created a new danger. The larger the rebel army became, the harder it was for any leader to control its direction. At its height, the rebel force may have numbered tens of thousands, but ancient estimates conflict. Such a crowd was not one professional legion. It included experienced fighters, new recruits, laborers, scouts, families, and camp followers. Plutarch claims Spartacus wanted to cross the Alps, disperse the fugitives, and let them return toward Thrace and Gaul. But no rebel document confirms that plan. Roman authors disagreed, and later storytellers filled the silence with motives they preferred. Some rebels may have wanted only freedom. Others wanted plunder, revenge, safety for families, or continued victories against Rome. Whatever Spartacus preferred, the army turned away from a simple exit. It remained inside Italy, where every road also led toward another Roman response. Confidence also changed the rebels. Repeated victories made some believe Roman armies were no longer an unbeatable danger. But Rome could replace lost soldiers, commanders, and equipment. The rebellion could not replace experienced leaders forever. The rebels moved south again, gathering supplies and avoiding forces they could not isolate. Italy was becoming both battlefield and cage. The rebellion should not be romanticized into a perfectly innocent army. Ancient accounts describe raids and devastation across Italy. A mass of desperate people could resist oppression while still bringing fear and loss to local communities. The Senate finally gave command to Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of Rome's richest and most ambitious men. He needed victory as much as Rome did. Crassus understood that Rome's army had first lost confidence. He restored discipline through fear, reviving the ancient punishment of decimation. The method was brutal, but its message was unmistakable. Roman soldiers should fear their commander more than the enemy. Unlike earlier commanders, Crassus kept his forces concentrated and followed relentlessly. Spartacus could no longer defeat isolated pieces so easily. The pressure changed the geography of the war. Spartacus withdrew through southern Italy, searching for space that Crassus refused to give him. The rebels still struck back whenever Roman units became exposed, but every victory now cost time, supplies, and people they could not replace. Crassus was also racing another Roman, Pompey, the celebrated general returning from Spain. If Pompey arrived before the revolt ended, he could claim the glory that Crassus needed for his own political future. At Italy's southern tip, Sicily appeared close enough to touch. Spartacus hoped ships could carry part of his force across the strait. Sicily mattered because earlier slave wars had erupted there. A landing might ignite another uprising and force Rome to divide again. Cilician pirates controlled ships in the region. According to Plutarch, they accepted Spartacus's gifts and promised transport for his men. The rebels waited beside the water, exposed and increasingly short of food. Every day gave Crassus more time to close the roads behind them. The ships never returned. Whether bribed, frightened, or simply dishonest, the pirates sailed away with the payment and the escape plan. Spartacus was now trapped in Calabria, the toe of Italy. The sea blocked one side, and Crassus prepared to seal the other. Crassus ordered a ditch and wall across the peninsula. It was an enormous engineering project designed to turn geography into a weapon. The barrier did not need to defeat the rebels in battle. It only needed to keep food out and desperate people inside. The rebels tested the fortifications with raids, fire, and feints. Crassus kept rebuilding every section they damaged. Then a winter storm covered movement and softened the ground. Spartacus ordered earth, branches, and timber thrown into part of the ditch. A large part of the rebel force crossed during the storm. The wall that looked complete had failed at one carefully chosen point. Escape did not restore unity. Separate rebel groups moved on their own, creating targets Crassus could surround before Spartacus reached them. Crassus destroyed several detached forces. Spartacus returned to protect survivors, but each rescue pulled him closer to the battle Rome wanted. Time was collapsing. Pompey was returning from Spain, and another Roman army approached Brundisium. Soon Spartacus might face enemies from every direction. Ancient accounts say Spartacus sought terms with Crassus. The proposal was rejected, leaving battle as the remaining path. Spartacus gathered the army for one final attempt. The goal was no longer conquest or escape, but breaking through before reinforcements arrived. The final battle was desperate. Sources agree that Spartacus fought near the front, but their dramatic details cannot be independently verified. Spartacus was killed, yet his body was never identified. The man Rome feared most disappeared into the anonymous people who followed him. Thousands of captured rebels were displayed along the road to Rome as a warning. The Republic survived, but its fear had been exposed. Crassus won the war, while Pompey claimed part of the credit. Roman politics quickly turned a human catastrophe into competition for glory. Spartacus did not destroy slavery, capture Rome, or leave a political program. His revolt failed in every immediate military objective. Yet fewer than 80 fugitives had defeated Roman commanders, built a vast coalition, and forced the Republic to reveal how deeply it depended on coercion. Later generations transformed Spartacus into many things: rebel, hero, revolutionary, warning, and myth. Each age created the Spartacus it needed. The honest historical Spartacus remains harder to see. His own words vanished, his plans are disputed, and even his final resting place is unknown. That uncertainty makes his achievement more remarkable. Rome tried to erase a slave, but remembered forever the moment its chains stopped working. Centuries later, abolitionists, revolutionaries, writers, and filmmakers adopted his name. Their versions often reveal more about their own struggles than his, yet they preserved the central image Rome could never control: the enslaved becoming organized.